Greetings, friends and foes, and welcome along to episode 46 of Keep Your Friends Close and Your Animes Closer, with me, as always, your anime expedition leader, Joel.
And me, as always, your anime tourist, Robert.
And me, as always, your anime guy with a pickaxe, Curtis.
Definitely need one of those on every expedition and every terrain.
I've seen lots of photos of you and your pickaxe at various angles.
Keep it with me at all times.
This is a podcast where we watch a few episodes of anime and then we talk about it, and then after we talk about it, we talk about other anime stuff. This week we watched episodes 7, 8, and 9 of Housekei no Kuini, or Land of the Lustrous. And we're going to start talking about that and do a brief summary. If you want to skip the summary, go straight into the discussion, you can skip to 13 minutes. Yeah, you can, that one. Thanks, Future Joel, at it again. So without further ado, let's go into Housekei no Kuini, Abridged.
Previously, a new Lunarian shows up with sapphire spikes and destroys the Amethyst twins while Foss watches in fear. Episode 7, title:
Hibernation.
The Amethyst twins are glued back together, and Foss starts to apologise, but they interrupt, accepting the blame for it, because they were being too eager to show off. Alexandrite runs in, wanting to know everything about this new type of Lunarian. Foss goes for a nighttime run, coming across Cinnabar and feeling bad for ignoring his promise to him. Winter arrives, and the gems get the place ready with white sheets and white dresses. They're about to go into hibernation. Foss doesn't feel tired this year, which is very out of character. So despite there only being about 10 sunny days throughout all of the winter period, Foss asks to stay awake. The others all go into hibernation. Foss joins the only other gem who stays awake during the winter, a mineral called Antarcticite, who is liquid at room temperature but crystallizes in the cold weather. Foss witnesses him hugging Sensei, as is their yearly tradition, and this embarrasses Antarcticite. They team up to do the work that Antarcticite does every year, namely destroying the ice floes that make too much noise grinding past each other. Screeching as they grind past each other, disturbing the others. Foss is also shown a natural ice sculpture made from seafloor microorganisms, all frozen over. Sensei apparently calls them sinners. Antarcticite shows Foss how to destroy a screeching iceberg, first by running down it in sharp high heels, pockmarking the surface, and then driving a blade into it, which cracks it now down that serrated line. It's pretty badass. Antarcticite warns that if they fall in, the flows will grind them into powder, so don't fall in. Then they get to work on clearing the snow, and they cover the comrades in sheets to ensure that they're getting a good sleep.
Not sleepwalking.
Yeah, and not sleepwalking around the place, as Borters want to do. They destroy more ice flows, just repeating these things every day, until one day, Foss hears the ice floe talk to him. Apparently, with them being minerals as well, they make sounds almost like words, but we can't actually understand them. Except that Foss can understand them.
Yeah.
Sensei assures them that they have no minds of their own, they're just mineral ice floes, but they reflect the doubts of others and exacerbate them. They are but the dregs of creatures from times long past, he says. Antarcticite says that Foss is actually keeping up with me pretty well. I wish he had arms to match those legs. And his comment plays on Foss's mind so much that he starts to consider chopping his own arms off. The ice floes around him agree and say, yes, you'd be more powerful if you do. They egg him on.
Put your hand in this hole.
Yeah, they even offer to bite his arms off for him. Foss eventually succumbs to it and sticks his arms in a hole, and Antarcticite saves him just in time, but his arms are gone. Episode 8, title:
Antarcticite.
Antarcticite dives in, but he can't find his arms anywhere. He almost loses his own arm in the process.
Foss's arms anywhere.
Yes, he can't find Foss's arms anywhere. He takes Foss to Sensei, and he accepts the blame because he's not used to having a partner. So it seems that every time Foss screws up, the other people want to accept the blame for it. He says, we have no more agate. We can't make you new arms. You're going to have to try the umbilical shores where you were each born. And Foss, now having lost even more of his body parts, has lost even more of his memory along with it, and can't really remember what the umbilical shores are.
Which is a good way of getting exposition into a character who definitely should know what that is.
I thought that was pretty smart. So they walk off to find the umbilical shores. They arrive at cliff face to see a fetus-looking gem person slop out of the cliff face and fall lifeless onto the beach below. Antarcticite says that over millions of years, the minerals from the seabed make their way up through the rock and into this cliff, and then they are born. But most of them end up like this, just a lifeless vaguely body-shaped husk of a gem.
Not formed enough.
Yeah, only a few of them achieve sentience enough that Sensei will come down and start to take them under his wing and whatnot. Antarcticite then blows away the top layer of snow and reveals the underlayer of just the general minerals in the area. He takes a cursory look around and says, unfortunately, there's only gold and platinum here, neither of which are any good as a substitute arm because they're way too soft and malleable.
And heavy.
And they're also way too heavy. They try it anyway, just because it's the only mineral there, just to kind of prove a point that it's not going to work. And despite it being really heavy, the inclusions inside Foss seem to take to it very well. It starts to melt and bubble and surrounds Foss's whole body. The Lunarians attack at that point, and Antarcticite turns around and defeats them, except that this is a new one with fish hooks. Exploding fish hooks.
Ruby-coloured.
Yeah, ruby-coloured exploding fish hooks that start to grab a hold of Antarcticite all over his body.
So if you imagine like those fish hooks that have the little baubles on them so that when they get a tug on them, they boop on top of the water. Except if the fish ever pulls too hard, the little bauble is a grenade and it explodes. It pulls the pin out.
So Sensei sees the Lunarians attacking way over at the umbilical shores and he says, I must make haste, as he shuffles out the door without picking up his pace. As he opens the door, however, there's more Lunarians waiting for him. And they sort of reach out and grab him and he tries to dismiss them, but then they trap him in smoke handcuffs. He's like, oh, you guys are getting smart with these new traps, and then it's not enough, and he breaks out of them, and it's such a loud noise that way over on the umbilical shores, that noise temporarily distracts Antarcticite. The fishhooks manage to wrap around him and tear his arms off and stuff. It's getting a little bit too much for him. He's on the verge of defeat, but he just manages to pull through and defeat the last of the Lunarians. He stumbles over to the cube, mostly shattered.
It is now formed a cube. It was a weird, bubbly mass.
It is now a cube of gold with some interesting sort of grooves in it and things. He goes over and tries to break Foss out of it, but Foss can't get out and he can't control it either. While he's trying to get him out, he shatters himself into a million pieces. Just as the Lunarians come back and they pick up all the pieces.
No, he doesn't do it.
Doesn't he?
No, what happens...
He's like pulling and pulling.
He's pulling and pulling, and then an arrow comes from behind him and just blows his head off, which is why his eye kind of just like...
That is fucking gruesome.
Yeah.
Eye shit.
He wasn't doing... he didn't do it to himself.
I thought he was just pulling and then they came back.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
It was an arrow, I thought.
Right. Okay.
Because that's why he was like...
It would make more sense if there's an arrow.
Right.
The Lunarians come back and pick up the pieces, and they leave Foss untouched.
Because the gold at this point, Foss has limited control over. Like, she hasn't made this cube. He doesn't entirely know what's happening, and he wants to help Antarcticite not be kidnapped. But the gold forms about 20 or so hands and tries to cover Foss's mouth.
Yeah.
Even though Foss is desperately trying to do something.
Right. That makes sense. Foss finally starts to overcome that golden power, though, with his sheer power of will. And at this point, he begins to control it. He shouts something about needing to help Foss. And at that point, the cube melts away, and he gains some semblance of control over it. He uses the gold leaves around himself to protect him from the arrows being fired at him by the Lunarians. But he's finding it too heavy for his body to actually control fully. His body starts to crack, and everywhere on his body that cracks starts to seep molten gold out of it. So this gold is actually not just taken his arms, it's infused all the way through his body.
I'm pretty sure that it's a platinum gold alloy as well.
Yeah. So he pushes on beyond his limits as they're escaping with bowls full of Antarcticite, but it just isn't enough. They manage to escape.
He throws Antarcticite's sword at the Lunarians in a last-ditch effort, but it just lands in the ice.
Yeah. Episode 9, title.
Spring.
And it is spring. This is where we see a time skip and a despondent Foss with short hair now, taking on and easily defeating some old-type Lunarians. He's nailing it now, but he's still got more to learn. He's starting to get more control over his gold-like arms and appendages and using them sort of Terminator style to melt and things.
For example, when the Lunarians show up and Foss notices them, he is totally unfazed by it and just turns his back towards them.
Yeah.
And as they loose their volley of arrows, one of his golden arms kind of stretches out and becomes a huge shield that covers his whole body. And because it's so dense and malleable, the arrows just dink into it, and then I guess Foss just pops them out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a liquid.
yeah.
He also has golden high heels now, which he uses to sort of project himself up into the sky. So, it's clear that he's blaming himself for Antarcticite's capture. And although he has much more control over his arm, he can't control his mind. He goes home and starts to talk to Antarcticite as if he was there, putting a little flower on the sort of a shrine to him.
There's part of Antarcticite's foot in a bowl.
And that's all he's managed to retain. He starts to hallucinate Antarcticite being born again from that sort of pool on this shrine, growing and crystallizing and becoming himself. And then he just watches him shatter all over again with his eyeball flying off into the distance and things. He wakes up and Sensei says, "You're clearly working too hard, you're not resting enough, all of this." And he says, "Well, I've got to do all the jobs now. I've got to break all the ice flows and this and that and the other." They start to prepare the others for waking up. Foss starts to cry gold. He says, "Sorry, this is the one thing that I can't stop it. I can't stop it leaking out of my face for some reason." And Sensei says, "No, this is an ancient flaw of ancient creatures. They used to leak in this way." The others finally wake up and they learn about everything that happened with Antarcticite as well as what's happened with Foss's arms. They all start to go nuts over Foss's arms. Some of them want to test him to his limits and see how much he can stretch. Some of them want to study him. Some of them want to improve him and upgrade him. The red Beryl just wants to find some sort of fashion that'll suit him, even when with his stretchy arms and stuff. Unfortunately, when one of them asks him to go and wake up Cinnabar, he says, "Remind me who Cinnabar is?" It seems with the loss of his arms, he's forgotten Cinnabar. However, he's out on patrol later and he comes across Cinnabar and he seems to remember making a promise to him at one day. And he feels bad about having
not been able to fulfill it.
That, yeah. While he's out on patrol, the Lunarians arrive again, and Amethyst twins are about to get ready to attack it, but Foss just goes gangbusters and takes them out without breaking a sweat. They're very thankful, and Bort looks on, jealous.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright.
So, we're going to get right into...
Rock your world! So, focus on Antarcticite. This is a segment, just for this season only, where I call attention to one of the minerals used in the show. Don't know, it's not going to be a long one this time because Antarcticite is not actually used for a lot of things. It is a real mineral.
I did check that because it sounded like a fake.
I know. I was like, I'm not going to be able to use this one because this is a made up one. Nope, it's real. It's a liquid at room temperatures, but it's a how did they say it? It attracts moisture. I think it's a word that you would expect to be hydro because it's to do with water, but it's like hygro or something. And it basically means that it attracts moisture from the air. So things like table salt are also this type of mineral because they do attract moisture from the air, that sort of stuff. That's why they're particularly soluble in water and stuff as well. And when dissolved in water, once it reaches the right temperature, it will form a precipitate in the solution, meaning that they will start to crystallize and then drop to the bottom. Because at that point it becomes denser than water and you find it crystallizing on the bottom of your beakers and things. Yeah. It's a calcium chloride, so it's obviously got calcium in it, which is pretty handy for the toughness, like bones and things like that.
Yeah, so good for eating.
Good for eating, yeah. You should definitely eat some as long as you can find some. And although they say it's a 3 on the Mohs scale in the show, because they say that what's his face is only half a degree harder than this guy. It's actually a 2 to 3. So it can be as soft as 2 on the Mohs scale.
Half a degree, Antarcticite being half a degree softer than Foss, not this guy.
This guy, yeah.
Because this guy, probably being Sensei, is well hard.
Well hard, mate. He's well hard and tough. It was because didn't they say earlier that Foss was the weakest one in the group, the softest?
Well, yes, and then we found out that actually Cinnabar is like a 2.8, and it's just weakest in the group of people who are
active, yeah.
on screen right now.
Not for 3 seasons out of the year, just in a bowl.
Yeah.
Is it that Foss is younger than the others? Is that why she can't fight as well as Cinnabar? And
She's definitely the youngest, isn't she, at 300?
Yeah, she is the youngest, but her fighting skill, it's hard.
It's so hard.
They look so feminine, but not misgendering them, whatever. He has not only is Foss particularly soft, he also is incredibly fragile. So, because like we see Antarcticite fighting, and his frame kind of cracks against pressure. Yeah. But Foss, in the past, until Foss got these upgrades, just outright shatters anytime something happens. And they've talked about the difference in hardness and toughness with the diamonds, because Bort is the same hardness as Dire, but the toughness difference.
Way tougher, mate.
Yeah, Bort's way tougher.
Right, this is an anime thing? This is just a...
No, this is a real thing.
This is a real thing.
This is a real thing. Like, some diamonds will have the same hardness on the Mohs scale, and you can think of that as being like, how easy is it to scratch them? Like, with talc or something, you can scratch it quite easily with your thumbnail. Like, you can put grooves and stuff in it.
Right.
Because it's not hard.
Yeah.
But toughness is I don't know, toughness, I'd say...
How hard to break.
How hard to break it, to shatter it, to crack it. That sort of thing. It's got different...
So that's hard for me to separate. Yeah.
The only time that they've ever gone into toughness is when you hit a hardness of 10. Yeah. But I mean, obviously, you could have a toughness of 10, not really, but you could have a high toughness but a low hardness.
Yeah.
Think of it this way: you can't scratch a diamond easily, but you can break one. Like you could hit a diamond with a hammer and it would shatter.
Okay.
JoJo's would beg to differ. That leads in directly to the show. What did you guys think of these 3 episodes? Oh, wait. Before we go into it, couple things. One, I was clearly having a fever dream last week because I could have sworn I saw a Yeti. There was no Yeti.
Okay.
There was no Yeti.
I was just wearing a furry suit at one scene.
I went back and I rewatched it about 3 times. That the next time
we had like a whole thing about a whole conversation about Yetis and Sasquatches, and I was
hopefully it was
where
interesting.
The fuck was the Yeti?
Hopefully it was a funny thing to listen to, but there was no Yeti. So there's that. But that's the only thing for this part. Yeah. Just, I felt like an idiot.
What about predictions? Did we get anything right and wrong this time? Foss is I'm going back on my prediction. Foss is not getting captured by the Lunarians anymore.
No way.
We've not got enough time for that shit. It would have been now or never.
I predicted, or we both predicted, that Foss would get new arms.
Yeah.
I predicted that it would be Heliodor's.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, same colour, but completely wrong
Did
mineral.
one of you earlier on predict that they would start mixing and matching?
That was me, I said, but I thought it would be more of like a fusion type thing where,
I'm going to take your arm specifically, and I'm going to take
and
your
then you would inherit some of that person's personality because it has their memories in it, which could be an interesting thing. Maybe that will happen in the future with somebody else, but it's not happening with Foss because all the minerals that she has absorbed into her body were not alive.
Do you reckon we're done with his upgrades now?
Well, okay. So, the interesting thing about that is, so we mentioned really quickly, or in passing, that Foss has a new haircut. So Foss's haircut has been a long bob up until this point. And then, during the fight with the Lunarians and when Foss was starting to become entangled with the platinum gold alloy, because it's so heavy, her body can't really support its weight, so it's cracking under the pressure, but the gold alloy is seeping into the cracks and reinforcing her body structure, and they do talk about this in the show.
Yeah.
The more she uses it, the less phosphophylite she actually has in her body.
Yeah.
Because you can see like little tiny chips every time she uses it. Every time she uses it, she strains herself a little bit more.
He also says, when he's talking to the ghost of Antarcticite, he says, my hair's a lot shorter now, isn't it? I wanted it to be more like yours.
Yeah.
And I also used the stuff I cut off to try and fill in the gaps in my body, all the chips that came out. Not that it'll keep, not that it'll stay or something.
But in the way that he says, not that it will stay, is kind of melancholic a little bit.
So he's becoming less and less of himself because his memories are disappearing every time he gets bits chipped off, and he's becoming just more of this gold mixture, whatever the shit is.
Yeah.
Cyborg. It's cool. I'm
cool.
excited to know where it's going and what is happening to Foss, because it's certainly an interesting way to do a character arc, to to have change that's tangible in a character and not just like in the way that they act, not just mental.
Right. Yeah, I really enjoyed these three episodes.
Yeah. So let's take it step by step. Episode 7, what did we see? First thing I wanted to point out about episode 7, this was a minor thing that I think I would have picked up that you guys didn't. When we very, very briefly meet Alexandrite, she walks into the room, she's making her rounds, doing reports and stuff, and I think Red Barrel or somebody is like, oh, Alex, in English, she says, oh, Alex, what's up, what you doing? Yeah. And she's like, it's Lexi. But in Japanese, they're like, hey, it's Alex-san, like, we're being respectful to you because we're below you. I guess Alex might be a little bit older.
Right.
But then Alex corrects her and says, it's Alex-chan, like she wants to be considered cute as opposed to respected. Like Lexi, it's an interesting way of translating it. I can definitely see why they picked it. I like
Lexi is a cuter name than Alex.
Yeah,
isn't it? Alex is just like a more respected sort of a name.
Yeah, it's more like a first name where Lexi is definitely a nickname.
Yeah, that is an interesting. I think that's a pretty good job of doing a translation where there's no.
No, I agree because I don't know how else you would have done that.
Hey, I'm cute, not respectful. Not respected. I had a comment about that as well, but I just thought it was perhaps a comment on gender again. I wondered if, because Alex is a gender neutral name and can be either, whereas Lexi is much more of a feminine sounding name. Well, I wondered if Lexi was the only gem that's like, hey, I want you to call me a girl. I identify as a female. Chan
is considered to be a lot more feminine.
Right.
It is a lot ruder to call a guy Chan. You would go to Kun if you were an equivalent. Like if we were friends and I called you Chan, that would mean that I would probably think I'm better than you, or I thought you were kind of cute.
Right.
Not in a kind of cute way.
It seems really like, it's like calling an old, like, you know, like it's backstabbing in a way, like to you know, to call someone older, different things, different terminologies. You can use it two ways. You could do it respectfully, or you could do it like fuck you.
Because in our relationship outside of the podcast, you're my dungeon master, and you're older than me.
Yeah.
So I could call you, like, I'm not going to do it because it's fucked, but like there would be grounds for me calling you Robert-san.
You're right, yeah. Would be you showing respect to it.
Yeah, because like, and like, or at the very
like we're equals or whatever.
Yeah, call me Kun, not Chan, but yeah.
Is Kun not like a cutesy thing as well? Is there like an equivalent for?
It's just more
equals,
masculine,
like just mates. Well, is there like an equivalent for like just I just want to be your equal? Is there?
So I've been saying it tends to be more feminine or masculine.
Yeah. That's
not necessarily 100% true. Like, co-workers would call each other Kun over Chan, regardless of gender.
Right.
Yeah. And female friends would call each other Chan, but they wouldn't be meaning it in a kind of malicious or mean-spirited way.
It's something that's so foreign to us.
We have no honorifics.
We have nothing like that, and it's something that always caught me out when I was learning French, because I would say to my Swiss friends, blah 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 blah, s'il vous plaît, and they'd have to keep saying s'il te plaît. We're friends. We're past the formal vous situation.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, we don't have to worry about at what situation can we say this.
I would never say anything because I would just be like,
what situation are we in? What's the right thing to say?
Stuck.
I don't want to be too formal.
Going around in circles.
So that was just a little thing I wanted to bring attention to. But
what did we think of Antaxite having to like ask Sensei for a hug in like a very formal way? Like this is one time a year when you actually allow me to hug you.
That's just the whole weird, like, I don't really understand what Sensei's relationship with any of them is, because affection seems to be coveted by all of the gems, and he doesn't really seem to be too miffed about giving it out, but it's just it's
bizarre,
really weird.
Like, at one point, one of them says, Sensei says, it can be lonely to be powerful, and one of them says, oh, are you lonely then, Sensei?
Foss says that.
And he picks, no, Foss is out for a run at that stage. It's a green-haired one, I think it's not Jade, it's another one. He picks him up and he's like, that's a secret. and the others are like, oh, me next, pick me up. And so it seems like any time he shows any sort of physical affection or interaction even with them, they're all jealous of it and they're coveting it and stuff. And it's, I don't know, it makes me dislike Sensei because it means that he's he's got this ability to give them all this joy in their life. It feels like a father that doesn't hug his kids ever.
He's very mysterious. He's very like warm one second, and cold the next second. I have no idea what's going on.
He'll take responsibility and say, "Don't worry, that's my fault. I accept responsibility for that." But then he'll also like have a raging fit and explode them just by shouting at them.
It would be more helpful if we understood what Sensei is. At the moment, he's basically a deity. Like he is a god. He can click his fingers and destroy all of the Lunarians.
Yeah.
He creates magic dust from his hands, and he can fucking headbutt a column and just be totally fine and destroy the column.
Yeah.
What does he say at one point? Like pitiful, when
what is it?
He really doesn't like humans by the sounds of it. He refers to them as like pitiful creatures, ancient weak creatures.
Yeah, when Foss shows signs of
crying.
Vestigial traits of being a human, like with the crying, he's like,
that's a weakness.
That's a flaw that ancient creatures had.
Yeah.
Like emotional, and I don't know. He's a very interesting character, and I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't get to see more of him this episode. I was hoping these three would start to show us more about him.
Have to mention really quick the cute kimonos that all of the different gems wear, and they're all unique. Which, I mean, obviously Red Beryl went all out, getting everybody their own PJs.
Yeah.
But I mean, that just goes to show that she's talented, and she could get everybody clothes to wear normally.
Everybody's like,
but I guess
we
they're
only
in uniform.
sleep in them. They get wrinkled. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And Red Beryl's like, but I put all this work in. You're gonna wear them, and you're gonna wear them properly. And then they've got spring outfits that they change into the next.
They're slightly different.
What do we think about the icebergs and the sinners?
It's hard to tell. So let's lead this into a larger discussion about the religious symbolism in the whole show, because there was a lot of stuff I noticed across all three of these.
Okay.
I can't tell whether it's just surface level or if it's actually trying to say a message, because like in Neon Genesis Evangelion, I know that people have seen that to varying degrees on this podcast, but there's a lot of Christian religious symbolism. But it means nothing.
It's just
you could read into it.
World building.
It's just flavor.
Right.
Like when the angels, they're called angels. When the alien angels explode, they explode into gigantic pillars that look like crosses.
Right.
Like crucifixes, and what's that trying to say about the nature of nothing? It's nothing. And they talk about like, when we found this prophecy in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which are real, nothing. Yeah. So I'm not sure yet. But that leads into your question, about sinners. I'm not sure whether that's just... There's that story about how humans split into three parts, the body, the bone, and the spirit. And obviously the minerals are the bone.
Yeah.
And Sensei doesn't like anything that is associated with vestigial humanity.
Yeah.
So it could just be that they're like... The reason that there might be a reason that they don't successfully form into the crystalline bodies. Like maybe they're holding on to too much of their humanity because they're full of insecurities and they amplify your insecurities and they just fucking scream all the goddamn time.
Right.
They form those weird sun-shaped crystals.
Weird shapes that were similar enough to the Lunarians that Foss thought that that's what it was originally when he saw it. He's like, is that one of them? And he goes, no, it's just some mineral deposit.
Which would tie into them being from a similar origin. So yeah, I think it is Sensei's disrespect for humanity as a concept, but that's all I have.
I did get a little bit confused with those spikes, those sun-like spikes that come out that are clearly made of gemstone, because later Foss breaks one off and it's all blue and stuff.
This is for the ice flows?
Yeah, for the ice flows and stuff. Those spikes that come out that he calls the sinners. Foss breaks one off and it's all full of like blue gemstone. Is that connected to like the umbilical shore cliff where they?
I don't know.
I'm not sure of like process, the sort of water cycle, if you will, the life cycle of a gemstone. I don't know if they're a failed gemstone, do they just fall to the bottom of the cliff and then they start again and eventually they come out whole?
I think that there's something to that. Like another reason that there might be sinners is because I think that there's a good possibility that they just failed gemstones because they didn't make it to the cliff.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they couldn't quite make it there, but they're still trying to form a shape.
So do you reckon you have to go through the cliff in order to get whatever sentience is needed?
At the very least on this island. I mean,
True,
surely
there might be elsewhere in the world where these gem communities are.
Yeah.
But on this island, they have to come from the umbilical shores, it seems.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. It makes you think that there's something in the cliff that gives them that final sentience.
bit of life.
Yeah.
Although 90% of the time they're stillborn.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, I guess it would be weird to harvest stillborns if you're a human.
Yes.
But if you're a gem and it's just minerals, I mean, they saw that red one fall out, and then he was like, clear the dust.
There's only gold and platinum. I was like, no, there's a whole body's worth of red stuff there.
So there's an interesting thing that I would have liked to hear what their opinions on that are. Like, if it gets to that stage, is it just like you don't touch it?
Yeah.
Because it's bad juice?
Yeah. It's got some weird juju around it.
Well, it might have inclusions in it, so maybe it would be like you get part of a tormented spirit that's like, where am I? Or maybe you could just shatter it to pieces and be like, yeah, give it to me.
Because if another question that is raised, like, is everything that mineral has the potential for being a gem person then? Because
I don't know.
I mean, just frozen water is now just.
It needs the inclusions because they have Foss's legs are that agate,
right,
which is a mineral with no inclusions in it, and then Foss's inclusions or midichlorians flow into the agate, giving her control over them.
Maybe that's what the umbilical beach is about.
Yeah,
sort of
has the mountain has the
perhaps the magic.
The magic.
Yeah.
The go juice.
It just seems weird that the icebergs are also semi-gem people in that they can kind of talk.
Because Sensei could be an unreliable narrator in that sense.
Yeah.
He's like, they don't listen to them.
Yeah, don't listen to them. They definitely don't have minds and they're definitely not telling you things.
They were just repeating the gems insecurities, right?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Well, one of it said hi. One of it kind of almost introduced itself, which made me think that Sensei is not telling the whole truth. At least he was
that's a good point.
The flows did say, "Oh, break your arms off, Foss. Won't you get stronger?"
Yeah.
Which is true, but also we've seen it say other things. So
that's a good point.
And it's weird that Foss is the only one that can understand them as actual words. Is that related to the fact that he was able to understand the sea people as well? Or do you reckon that Foss is going to turn out to be like a special person who actually has a bit of spirit, flesh and soul all inside of him already?
It's definitely something special about Foss now that he's golden arms.
Because in 4,000 years the oldest of the gems has been around. None of the other ones have ever broken off a finger and replaced it with any other gemstone. Despite the abundance of gemstones around and the good work of Rutiel the Doctor. So like Foss, is he the only one where it's actually taken? Everybody else who's tried to have some sort of a transplant, the body's rejected it or the inclusions haven't taken or something? Yeah. Or is it that he's the only one that's ever tried it?
Because he's so useless.
Yeah.
Doesn't have he's got the low hardness. It's the right mixture of shit. You're just shit enough to be really good.
That is a massive thing about this, is that she starts off on the show totally useless. Gives him a useless job, go collect data to distract yourself. Now.
Look at me now.
It's now sort of Hancock level of I'm super powerful and so much so that I'm despondent with everything. Numb to the world.
Is it? So one thing I was thinking about is that there is this like pressure on her to change. Pressure on him. Pressure on Foss. Pressure on Foss to change. He's not strong enough. He's got fast legs, but he can't hold a sword. He would be good if he has stronger arms. He's giving up himself to adapt to other people.
Other people's needs?
Other people's needs.
So do you reckon there's like a deeper metaphor there? Like what it's trying to say about don't lose yourself in order to try and please others? Or?
I think there's something there, like he's completely losing himself, and we see that in these 3 episodes. He goes from silly to dead. Dead on the inside.
It doesn't take much. Antarctica just has one pass away comment where he's like, his legs are pretty cool and he's actually keeping up with me more than I expected. I wish his arms were better as well. And that's all he says, and then the next scene you see Foss like contemplating chopping his own arm off with a serrated blade.
Yeah. And that to me I kind of saw that as like in a human level, it's almost like self-harm.
Yeah.
You know?
I did see that as well.
Somebody says something about, it'd be nice if she wasn't so
ugly,
fat or whatever. Her nose is a bit big or whatever, and you can imagine somebody
with bulimia or
all that stuff. Yeah. Self-harm to try and make yourself fit the ideal of somebody else's world or something. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe they were just like, this is a cool idea for a gemstone.
There's always
here's a chance to upgrade the gemstone with a story.
Yeah.
There's always author intention, but if you're able to look at it, like, I don't think that that's much of a stretch. Nothing like what we were stretching with for
no.
That's pretty reasonable. So if the author thought this is a good plot device, but if somebody's able to take their message from it, I don't think that that's...
Well,
I think it's still valid.
I think, it's kind of it's just interesting because we don't know where Foss is going as well. So is it like a path of self-destruction, or is it, I don't know, whatever.
Maybe the message could either be, don't do this, or like, hey, do this.
Change your pieces of shit.
So that was episode 7, episode 8, Antarcticite diving in between the ice floes. That was just a cool scene.
That was
cool
really
little bit of choreography.
I love that they can just breathe and talk and act underwater as if they were just normal.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Yeah.
It really shocked me when we see Antarcticite get like blown up and his head just explodes and shatters down the middle and his eye socket like cracks open and his eyeball just floats out.
Yeah.
It seemed like oddly graphic. For the rest of the show so far.
I agree.
There's been some pretty intense scenes, like
amethysts getting crushed.
Yeah, getting crushed. With the Venus flytrap thing.
That because we saw it on the previous episode, but there was something so terrifying about that because they totally change in persona, like getting crushed. They tell Foss to run, and then they're just like, no, they get crushed.
Their heads come flying off.
So when I was watching this, and I see Antarcticite fighting the fishhooks, I was like 50% as to whether he was going to make it out or not.
Yeah.
And I was like, if he gets taken, cool. If he doesn't get taken, awesome. And then he won. I was fooled. I was bamboozled. Because they only come once a day. He beat them. Awesome. Got some ruby bits.
Yay, recovering my friend.
Yeah, and then just boosh, destroyed. It was pretty fucked up.
That was good because
it was a good fake out.
If he was going to be able to get her out of the
you're completely distracted
in that world. Yeah.
Speaking of Golden Box, was there a reason? Grow up. Was there a reason for like the patterns on it, the lines in it? It looked like something, but I couldn't place what. It looked like a machine part or something.
I thought it looked machine part-esque, but I couldn't place it. What I'm more interested in is when Foss is like, I fucking had enough, let me save my friend, and it starts to unravel. You said leaves.
Yeah,
it's a lotus. It blooms into a lotus, which I should have brought this up earlier when I was talking about the religion of the show. But it ties into all of the Buddhist imagery.
Yeah.
Like all of the Lunarians looking like Buddhist symbols, and the lotus. I don't know enough about Buddhism, but like maybe there's something to do with enlightenment, like attaining enlightenment. I think that sounds right, but I don't know.
That's what Buddhists strive for, is enlightenment.
Exactly, yeah. So, but is it
I don't know
the
if it's
lotus? Not educated enough.
That would be interesting to find out.
I mean, if there are anybody listening who considers themselves Buddhist, or you've dabbled in Buddhism, or
just as knowledgeable,
knowledgeable about it at all, let us know. Please email us or let us know about if there's anything that we're missing about like the lotus imagery or anything like that. It definitely feels like there could be something that we're missing,
or it could all be just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, maybe
really pretty things. So. What about, we have any... Oh, no, you said...
Yeah, sorry, just on the gold box. So, the gold, it's her struggling with the gold, right? Do you think it's her struggling to take that on?
It's like a metamorphosis as well. It's like a cocoon, right?
Right.
I read it as he wants to be strong and brave, but only like on the surface. Like his actual desire is to protect himself.
Okay.
He's scared in that moment, and so his instinct is to hide and shirk away and hold himself and
and
protect himself in a box.
All those hands sort of holding his mouth.
That's him. I think that's him going, don't say anything because we're going to die. Okay. Which is subconscious, whereas his logical part of his brain is going, I need to help my friend, I need to help. And eventually he goes, no, fucking stop it, I am. And he actually steps up and he gets down into his own subconscious and says, I'm in control here. This is what we need to do.
This is who I want to be.
This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that he's been so shocked in the past when the Lunarians show up that he literally does nothing.
Yeah.
Just sat there while Amethysts got dunked on. So I like that read. It's a good read.
Yeah, he's kind of doing it again, and he sees Antacticite getting attacked the same way that he let the Amethysts get attacked, and then eventually he goes, no, I can't do this again. Boom, and he breaks out of it, but it's just a little bit too late.
Do you feel like this is kind of, I don't know enough about it, but like the hero's journey? Is this like...
this is the hero's journey. Every story is the hero's journey.
every story is. I don't know.
There's the call to adventure, the old man, the part where the person dies, where she died and then breaks their legs off or gets trapped in a gold box, and then the resurrection, and then they get the thing that they want, and then they return home a different person.
Like she's got what she wants. She wanted to be able to fight, but now it's
not what she wanted.
He isn't exactly who they thought they was.
I keep saying she.
Yep, we all do.
Do you know what? Write in and tell us what idiots we are, but we do already know.
We're aware of it.
We're trying.
On that note, they are so damn sexy. Why are they animating them all like sexiness? Like, especially when they're sleeping, they're all in their hibernating situations. They're all like in poses that would fit in exactly with like an underwear model.
The amount of like bending over, like when Foes has lifted her arms and she's just like, and he pulls her out of the water and he puts her on ice. She's just lying there, bent over, and just butt sticking out.
There's like the nightwear that they're wearing is like dresses and stuff, nighties, and they're just covering the butt, but the hips and everything are out, and the legs, and they're all posing.
I did point out how cute those dresses were. They are very cute. I would argue that some of the gems are moe, which is like the very particular kind of cute, where it's like you just want to be affectionate to this person.
Right.
I don't know why. I don't find them in the kimono dresses super cute. I'm not into the tuxes, and they're like a wooden block. They're so I know you can have a flat chest and be cute, but they're like literally flat.
They got hips.
They got the hips and the butt.
Yeah.
They have
every time they get the chance to show off the fact that they've got a little bit of a curvy butt.
Yeah,
I guess that they're
even
just
for like
not.
A split
even for a second.
Well,
there it is.
Do you know what? We will re-have this conversation in the end of year podcast when we talk about our spousal of the year, because you can marry inanimate objects. There is a precedent for it. There was that woman who married a roller coaster. I can definitely marry a sentient gem.
She not marrying a roller coaster.
That woman,
Oh, okay.
You know, I think
That's
I think the Eiffel Tower is a polygamist because I think there's like 7 people married that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How come the Eiffel Tower gets away with having a lot of different people, and when I try and do it, it's bigamy?
Yeah.
Was it episode 8 where the Lunarians show up outside of
Sensei. That's what I tried to talk about, and then we got completely distracted.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, you go. You have something to say.
What was that about? So it was episode 8.
Yeah, it was episode 8. Yeah, we've already. I don't know if it's interesting to even try and speculate at this point what Sensei's deal is. Yeah. What connection he has to the Lunarians. He has familiarity with them. It's not just like this old bear that I fight every year. It's like he knows a lot. He knows what they want from him.
That scene did show us that he's not in leagues with them.
Yes.
I thought for a while that he might have been in cahoots.
Yeah.
But they've shown up and they've tried to like grab him and put him in.
Were they trying to grab him?
Well, at first they were like they were worshipping and praising him.
That's what I saw.
But then when he's like, piss off, and he dismisses them, they turn into smoke and like wrap around his wrists and stuff. And
which is why he's surprised.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
They want him to go to the moon.
And with them doing that makes me go, I think I'm still on with my other prediction, is that he was their first creation, their human creation. And they're wanting him back because he's escaped. I think the Lunarians made him and was like, hey, it kind of works, and he's like, this isn't okay, and he escaped to Earth.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that theory. Episode 9, Spring. So we get introduced to Foss's cute new haircut, and how badass Foss is when fighting the Lunarians now, just fucking nobody's business. Can take down a whole, I almost said planet, can take down a whole cloud just in one foul swoop. Again, still developing control. All very cool stuff. I'm a little bit iffy on the watery gold. I think it sometimes looks like shit.
Yeah.
Just compared with the rest of the show.
Yeah,
but that's neither here nor there. It's passable. Foss having the nightmare was awesome. Great scene. Shows that they can have dreams.
Yeah.
Foss crying is really interesting because I don't know whether it's just that they lack the ability to cry normally, or whether she, like her being filled up with gold and platinum has made her more human.
Right. Huh.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do they normally just feel sad and they would cry if they could, but they can't? Or
do they not feel sad at all? Do they not have emotions in that same sense?
Because
we've seen that Foss does, but we don't really see anybody else.
Yellow Diamond is more disappointed that she's lost like 4 partners. He's lost 4 partners than sad.
Yeah.
And everybody seems angry when somebody gets taken. Like, fuck, now that job's gonna have to fall on me or somebody.
Yeah. Nobody seems. We haven't seen anybody forming attachments and sort of human-like emotions in the same way we have with Foss. Even Sensei, we don't see him having the same emotions as Foss does.
No clue. So, interesting to think about.
Yeah, it was kind of weird in this episode the way they all treat Foss when now that she's all super badass and stuff. Like even
they're initially afraid.
Well, even Diamond, who was kind of like helping her out and looking after her, kind of like just treated her like an object. Was like, I'll hold her down. Yeah, I don't know.
But a bot was like, this would be fun to cut through, and tries to like slice through his arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely next episode. Bot and Foss will have a showdown.
Full show.
Yeah, they had a weird reaction, but I think they had to go through those story beats of like, whoa, that's pretty scary, and now, we're super interested. Let me see more of that. We find out that Sensei stayed awake to keep Foss company the entire winter, so now he's very, very tired, which is interesting because he doesn't seem to be solar-powered.
No.
But also he can stay awake for months and months.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he has a big, long nap. And we just kind of see Foss trying to figure out where he fits in now, because he's not the bottom of the barrel. He's pretty up there, better than Bort, but people are still trying to kind of treating him like he's still the younger brother who can do something cool, I guess. Like, oh, whoa, you can shoot a bunch of cans with a BB gun? Sick.
Sick, yo.
Yeah, I had a really good time with these 3.
Yeah. What was your senzu bean?
I think my senzu bean, I've got 1 and I've got 2, sorry. And if somebody else doesn't take my second, I'll say it as well. I don't want to be greedy. I really liked the Sakuga for Antarcticite or Antarc in the ice flows. It was just, I don't know, you don't see many underwater things ever. Right. And him dodging in between the ice flows and trying to bounce off of them and that low, big air quotes gravity. It was just cool. And trying to grab his hand because his hand...
just in time. He does that Indiana Jones thing where his hand's about to get crushed and he grabs it back.
Yeah, I just thought that was really well choreographed. And that's something,
Was your sense of being Curtis?
For me, I think it was... So it's been 3D and I can kind of see why they're doing 3D now for all these sort of liquidy, platinum-y, gem rendering sort of shots. And I think they've done such an amazing job, like in the 8th episode when she's or like 8th and 9th episode when she's got these golden arms and she's fighting with them. I just think they've done it like it's pretty. It's really beautiful.
It's the top of the line CG anime, top shelf stuff, $300 a glass.
It felt so amazing when she's using the gold to shield her, and when she falls out of the sky and shoots the, I don't know, it's very beautiful animation. It's really nice. Yeah,
cool choreography too.
Yeah.
Sensei Bean.
My favourite bit was the whole scene where Foss has lost his arms and he's just kind of making jokes about it. Like, what's his face? Sensei says something about... he asks Foss something that he doesn't know the answer to, and he goes, "Oh, beats me. I throw my hands up in defeat." And then he looks at his stumps and goes, "Somewhere my arms are being thrown up in defeat."
Yeah.
And then later on he goes, "Well, nothing more for it. You better go to the umbilical shores." And he goes, "Oh yeah, cool. Where was that again?" And he does finger guns, but with his stumps.
Yeah.
Where was that? Great.
So my second Sensei Bean, because neither of you two had it, was very specific. It was Daya's PJs. Very cute PJs. Super into the way that she was dressed up. Daya is best crystal. Best crystal in the show. And also I think as honourable mention is the fake out that we all got tricked by with Antark getting shattered by an arrow.
Yeah. Predictions.
It's getting hard, guys.
Yeah, there's only 3 episodes left. Predictions for this.
Let's predict how it's going to end.
Yeah. So, Bot's gonna get jealous to the point where he makes a deal with the Lunarians. Not in the same way that the fish people did, but he will attack the Lunarians alongside the gold guy, Foss, and then he will deliberately take a step back and let them attack Foss.
Right.
He'll be like, I've got your right, I've got your flank, I'm watching your 6 or whatever.
I don't reckon it'll be a deal. I reckon he'll set Foss up to get taken.
Yeah, that's more what I meant. That he's not really making a deal with them so much as he's just making sure that Foss doesn't come back.
Okay. Curtis?
Going off what you said about the sensei being human or something, I think the sensei, for whatever reason, doesn't like humans. He doesn't like humanity. He's a monk. He meditates a lot, almost like he's trying to escape being human. And
which is the purpose of meditation in Buddhism. You're supposed to achieving enlightenment, as far as I'm aware. Feel free to correct me and call me a dumb fuck. Is you're trying to
seem very Buddhist to be like, actually, I'm a Buddhist, you dumb fuck.
Yeah, actually, well, there are militant Buddhists.
True.
The idea is that your humanity is what drags you down and brings about all of your unhappiness. Yeah. So people meditate to try and release themselves of earthly desires and emotions.
Yeah.
So he's trying. True. Yeah.
So what do you think that means for?
And yet, I think humanity is making its way through Foss in a way.
Right.
Nice.
So do you think he'll start to turn away from Foss, or?
Yeah, so I can't quite put it together, but I think there's something in that direction.
There's a theme that's going to evolve from that.
Yeah.
And then Sensei will eat Foss.
and achieve the humanity.
Yeah.
I think that Foss won't find a job for Cinnabar.
Right, yeah.
I think that either he will completely forget, or it just he'll be like, look, I've made myself. I didn't really have a job either.
Yeah.
For 300 years. But I didn't just
look
go.
At me now, bitch.
Well, yeah. I didn't go and mope in a cave for centuries. I actively tried to do stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Like I wanted to help you. Now I want you to help yourself.
Right.
Like his attitude will change.
Interesting. I think he will find a job for Simba. I can't think what it is, but I'm thinking there's a definite tie now between his fluid minerals, the gold that he can control around himself, and... Do
you reckon that they'll exchange fluids at some point?
Yeah, I reckon.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to get some mercury power in him.
And Foss will be able to give like a golden shower to Cinnabar.
Yeah, he gives him his gold all over him, and Cinnabar's like, here, have some of mine, and he puts...
As silvery liquid.
Silvery liquid.
And then they'll get to mix together, and then we'll just see how that works out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's... Yeah.
Okay, so we'll finish up Housekei no Kuini next week, but now it's time for a Weeb in review. A Weeb in review is the segment of the podcast where we talk about other anime, manga, Weeb stuff that we did in the week. Robert, no, actually, you just spoke. I think I'm going to go first this time.
Well, fine.
Uh,
like that.
So we mentioned that one of the shows that was a possibility for season 4 was going to be Keijo.
Oh, yeah. You gotta say it like that because it's got 4 exclamation marks.
Yeah, and I don't know where to stop, so there's a kind of question mark at the end. So I've watched 3 episodes of this by now. I've dropped it.
Yeah, so we were right in saying that you'd get bored of it quickly, or?
Yeah, I mean, if we had to watch it for the podcast, I would have enjoyed watching it for the podcast because it is entertaining, but I'm not getting anything out of it.
Right.
It's kind of like going to a fast food place and just buying like $20 worth of fries.
Right. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
I love fries.
Yeah, you get.
But it's not satisfying at the end of it. So for anybody who doesn't know, Keijo is an ecchi sports anime about a sport called Keijo, where people stand on a floating platform in the middle of the pool. You have to knock the other person off or down onto their hands and knees, but you're only able to touch them with your butt or your boobs. That's right, it's all girls all the time. So it follows the story of this protagonist who wants to be a Keijo star, so she goes to this school. I can understand why the story would be appealing. It's about somebody who just really wants to try hard and excel in their field. That's cool. But I mean, when you have, I guess it's me not understanding ecchi, the appeal of ecchi shows, but there's just girls in one pieces, which are attractive. I'm not gonna lie, they look alright. But, like, jumping up, doing a double backflip up into the air to drop their butt down onto somebody's head to knock them out and yelling, "Butt guillotine!" And when they have to sit in class at this school and they're studying astronomy, which is funny, it's a good pun, and boobology. It's entertaining, but I don't know, like, there's one scene where, they have to keep a beach ball up in the air. But they're only allowed to use their butts, and they have to hit it 30 times, and it's just
practice.
Yeah, it's practice.
Yeah.
And in a martial arts anime, for example, you'd have you got to stand there and do 50 punches or something. I understand the structure, but watching, I don't know, I feel like honestly, I feel like the ecchi makes me respect the show less, and I don't know how to feel about that. I am a little bit torn because it's the humor, like astronomy. Funny, and they do the whole trope of protagonist isn't paying attention in class and the teacher throws something really hard at their head, but all the teachers are ex-Keijo players, so of course they only ever use their boobs or butts. So protagonist is ignoring the teacher talking to her friend, and the teacher flicks up the chalk into the air and then spins and smashes the chalk with her hips, and then just like a bullet hits her in the head.
You know what I want to see is a real life sort of remake of some of these.
A live action remake?
Yeah.
The choreography of the fights is actually pretty impressive if you just dismiss anatomy. Some of the anatomy is insane.
Yeah.
Because there's one girl who she's figured out if you hit somebody, if you punch somebody in the jaw and you hit them just right, you'll knock them out. But she has such power with her butt, and she gets up on her tippy toes and does a roundhouse butt slap to the jaw.
Yeah.
And she's so fast that people can't even see what's happening. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of.
Do you think it's running out of bits?
Well, you would think that.
Yeah.
But in the 3rd episode, the main character is I'm so desperate, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna have to try and get up speed. So she's a gymnast.
Yeah.
And so she tries to get a running start into everybody knows that butts are better for hitting people with boobs. So she's I'm gonna get some velocity behind me before I strike, which will increase the torque of my butt swing.
Yeah.
So she is running from across this big. So there's a bunch of little platforms connected by smaller ones. She's running across a platform, and then she starts doing gym tricks and splits and stuff, and you get to see everything. So she gets really quick, and then she does a super twist spin, and she swings so hard. Obviously, it's a teacher who's seen this move before, so she dodges out of the way. But she swings her ass so hard that she rips the one pieces off of her friends who are trying to help fight this teacher, and they're all naked. No, my boobs are out.
Do they ever?
And then they're like, all the teachers that are watching are like, it can't be a first-year student using the vacuum butt technique.
That's great.
And then she has to get hospitalized because she's hurt her pelvis doing this move.
I was just going to ask that. Do they put their hips out?
Yeah, she's thrown her hip out, and
yeah.
the teachers are like, listen, every Keijo star who uses this move, they make it to the top, but they never stay there long. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, it shortens the lifespan of your pelvis. And she's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. It's so hard to take seriously. And it's a comedy show, but I don't
lacking something else to it?
Well, but that's what I tried to reconcile. Like, it's about somebody trying really hard to excel in their field.
Okay,
and, like, applying themselves to it.
Yeah.
So I can see that. But when you're like, what, you couldn't do my challenge? 88 butt figure eights. Where they have to move their butt in a figure eight 88 times.
Yeah.
It's just hard to respect. I don't know. But I don't... I'm not sure how much of my disconnect from the show is just a lack of familiarity with ecchi. You know, like I haven't developed a palate for it. But right now I'm just like, I don't know. So maybe I'll come back to it. If somebody sell me, in the second half she figures out how to guillotine somebody with her boobs. I don't know. Although there was one part, I'll just raise it just in case you haven't seen it. She's losing against a girl, the main character is losing against a girl who can move really quickly, and she can get, and because she can move quickly, she can get insane wind-up on her butt slaps.
Yeah.
So she's like, right, I'm just going to close the distance so that she can't get those wind-ups. So she slams her boobs into the other girl's boobs, and is, because you're only allowed to make contact with your boobs or butt, and she's cornering her and trying to push her off the edge just through sheer force.
Yep.
And she's like, right, but now you can't hit me, so we're on equally disadvantage. And then the girl who with the fast butt slaps tries to like chest bump the main character away, but the main character has like D-sized tits. So she tenses her boobs as the girl pushes, and like her boobs grab onto the other girl's one piece, so that she can't get away from her.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
it's like, that's kind of clever with the magic system that you've incorporated with this hard magic system. You can respect that, but at the same time, this is, I don't know.
Does it go? So is it all sport? Is there relationships? Is there outside stuff?
So she's in a dorm room with 3 other girls, and they're all so quirky, and that dorm room, it's cursed. Everybody who goes into that dorm room leaves by the end of the first semester. And I'm the ditzy girl who no one can understand. I'm the super shy girl.
Yeah.
I'm the brainy girl with no boobs.
Yeah.
And she's super upset with how no boobs she is. but oh my god, okay, there's one more part. Somebody is like, oh, there she is, I'm gonna hit her. And then, like in Dragon Ball Z where they're fighting the after image, somebody tries to swing their butt at her head, but then it was her boobs the whole time. Because she, it's just like she was disguising her butt as boobs, and she moves so quick. It's just, I'm trying to describe it. It
has to be drawn.
It has to be drawn. There's no way it could have been done in real life. And it's that, like, when you're watching it, I'm audibly making, like, super surprised noises because they're doing stuff that I didn't even think could happen.
One of the crazy theories about why human females developed prominent bosoms when other species don't is that they do somewhat superficially replicate the butt, and the butt is a pretty awesome thing for the guys to see.
Yeah.
Because if you're displaying your butt to a guy, it means you're kind of
down and ready to go.
Down and ready for it. And so but it still doesn't make sense then as to why the butt.
Honestly, I would actually recommend that you watch a couple episodes because I am not doing it justice. It is, and the hype that it achieves is real.
Cool.
It's just I don't know if I'll continue with it. It's a weird show, whatever. The other thing that I've been doing this week is I have been playing Dragon Quest XI. I know that it's been out for a little while. I've been waiting for it to go on sale, and boy, don't you know it, end of year comes up and Valve throws games at people. Or rather, they demand money and then I give it to them. So, Dragon Quest XI is a long-running JRPG series. The art director is, in big quotes, Akira Toriyama. I'm so sure he's not actually working on it anymore, and they've just like bought his art style from him. Although I could be wrong, feel free to correct me. So the story of Dragon Quest XI is that there is this savior called the Luminary, and a long, long time ago they defeated the Dark One, and you play as the reincarnation of the Luminary, which foretells the Dark One's return. So you're like, right, gonna go to the kingdom, tell them that I'm here, because now I know who I am and I'm an adult. We're gonna sort out this Dark One business. But the king of the kingdom is like, right, so you're the Luminary? Which means that the Dark One is gonna come? Nah, I just kill you and then there's no Dark One, no business, no problem. So now you're a fugitive, you run around trying to do magic. It's not the most complex narrative, but boy is it fun and beautiful. It's the rendering on it perfectly 3D renders Akira Toriyama's art style. It's lightheartedly funny, and like it's not talking down to me, but at the same time I'm like, yeah, this is kind of fluffy. And the story gets broken into these smaller vignettes, instead of it being all necessarily tied into this one big thing. You arrive at a location and there's something happening there which you kind of need to just be involved with for your story to progress. Like you arrive in this sand kingdom and there's a prince who is about to race because he's an adult and they're big into horses in this sand kingdom, and he's going to prove to the entire kingdom that he is the rightful heir because he can ride a horse real good. And then he's like, I have the item that you need. I can't race a horse. I never learned to race. I'm a prince. And so you get roped into it, and it's just, it's not a deep story, but it's charming. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very, very charming. It doesn't do too much to change the formula. It's not revolutionary, but I was really feeling like a kind of well-built fucking old school JRPG, and that's what I got.
Nice. Sweet.
Would recommend, although I'm not finished. I've only just got a boat.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much more of it do you reckon you've got?
It's about, games like these are about 40 hours. I'm at hour 15, and I'm dawdling through it. I'm doing a lot of side stuff and grinding and all sorts, but it's a lot of fun. So I reckon I've got about at least 30 hours. But I'll probably play for longer, do post-game stuff.
You do all the other like side quests and things.
Well, I don't tend to beat games 100%, but I pick and choose my battles. So a lot of the time, like if you have set party members, I'll try find their strongest weapon. But if there's a super boss who's immune to 9,000 different types of damage, and he's got 50 million HP, and you have to be max level, I'm not going to do that, especially not for a turn-based RPG.
Right, yeah.
Turn-based games are like this, I won't do it, because it's just a time investment, and it's not really testing my skill at that point. If that makes sense, it's more of a patience thing. For action games though, I always kill all the bosses, because that game is disrespecting me if I can't beat a challenge that it's giving me, because it means that I am bad at the game. I haven't invested enough time into it to have my numbers so high. It's like, no, you are a basic bitch. You lack the hand-eye coordination to hold a sword. Go home. I don't feel that kind of disrespect coming from turn-based games.
Right.
Yeah. That's my week done. I've done some other stuff again, but I will talk about it when I have more to say.
Well, I'll tell you about my stuff then, huh?
Yeah.
I accidentally read manga this week.
What?
Yeah, for the first time I accidentally read some manga.
How did you accidentally read it?
This isn't a novel.
Sorry.
This has pictures.
I thought it was a menu.
This is front to back.
No, I was on Reddit. And I saw a picture of like a screenshot of a Minecraft world. Somebody had got a cliff face, and it had loads of like holes cut into the cliff face, and they said these holes are made for us. And then loads of the comments were like riffing on the same joke, and I'm like, I don't like being out of the loop. What are they referencing? Eventually, one of the comments said, "For the uninitiated," and here was a link. And I clicked it, and I started reading it, and then I'm like, this art style looks like manga. And then sure enough, not only that, I was like, this art style looks like Junji Ito, that's him. And sure enough, it was a Junji Ito horror story that I was watching. And judging from Joel's laugh, you know it.
Yeah, it is. A lot of stuff is riffed on that one. So, the Enigma of Amigara Fold is the gist of the story is there's like an expedition team, relevant, who find a mountain with a bunch of human-shaped holes in the side of it.
There's been a recent earthquake, and this fault line has shifted, and a load of one side of this mountain has come up past the other one, leaving a sheer cliff face, and it's got human-shaped holes dug into them.
That's a better way of describing it. But as this group of people are investigating them, like, this is weird, what caused these shapes? People start to realise...
They put it all over the news.
Yeah.
And as they're putting it on the news, more and more people are turning up to look at this weird anomaly, but some of them are turning up because when they saw it on the news, they realised...
That's for me.
That's me.
Jesus.
That silhouette is me. That is my exact... And everybody else is like, it's just a human silhouette. What you talk? They all look like everyone.
Oh, okay.
They're all just people.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, this one's me. And they talk to one guy who's like... Yeah, this one's me, I'll show you. And he takes his clothes off and he walks into it, and it fits in perfectly. And he just carries on walking into the mountain.
Not walking, he just kind of gets sucked in because the space is so tight that you would not be able to move.
Right, okay.
He just sort of...
And then they're trying to reach in to get to him,
like,
and
whoa,
they can't.
come back.
They get floodlights to try and see how far into the mountain he's gone, and they can't see anything. And so more and more people start getting naked and finding their hole and getting sucked in.
Yeah.
That's the premise of it.
Yeah.
It's a good little short story.
It's got a bit of little twists and stuff, yeah.
It's been referenced, like, you know, Steven Universe?
Yeah.
Yeah, the gems in Steven Universe come out of holes in the wall, and there's like, the imagery looks very similar to that manga, and then there's one where Amethyst, the character in Steven Universe, is like, I remember everybody coming out of all these holes. This one's mine, and then just like then slides back in, and it's a cartoon, so I was like, that's funny, but it's referencing that manga.
Cool.
I've seen it referenced in a couple other places. It's creepy imagery.
Yeah. But obviously in Minecraft everything's just blocky in like 1 by 1 meter blocks.
Yeah.
And so somebody's just cut out a 2 meter by 1 meter hole in the wall,
Perfect
and it's
fit.
like, this one's a perfect fit for me. And once I'd read it, I went back and read through all the comments and I'm like, man, this is funny.
Yeah.
I also read more of the other thing that I've been reading, but not enough to warrant talking about it. And I have watched one thing that I'll be really excited to talk about next week when I've watched more of it. This is something that it's been on my must-watch list since day one. Not day one of the podcast, day one of like learning about anime, like over 2 years ago, and Joel's like, hey, you should start watching this and this and this. This was one of them, and I'm really excited to talk about it next week. So it's going to be good.
We won't even let you know what it is. We're just gonna
it's a good
tease you, just like tickle you.
It's one of them that everybody goes, you need to have watched this if you call yourself an anime fan.
So guess and let us know, and then we'll let you know if you're right or wrong, or will we? That's a threat. Robert's been busy with not uni this time, but miscellaneous
playing games and stuff. Life and work. Work and play. I've been working and playing hard this week.
I think it's time that we move into fake views.
So Fake Views is a segment where I, as the anime noob, have to come up with 3 synopses. They can be real anime or they can be fake, made up from my head, or taken from an existing story from a book or something like that. And then I pitch that synopsis to my co-stars here, and they have to decide whether they are real or fake. And if they get them wrong, I get to laugh at them because they should know better. Joel is our leading champion. How's that belt fitting you?
Very nicely. I should hope that I get to keep it because I have to maintain the facade that I know the most, because I do, but within the
all
room.
Relative. Curtis, you're on a nice little streak here.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can
losing streak.
let's see if we can break this streak today.
It's less of a streak and more of a skid mark.
First synopsis. 2 award-winning academics have to go back to the School of Hard Knocks to learn life skills when a particularly attractive tsundere moves in next door.
Oh, come on. I was like, he threw a Japanese word in.
Yeah. Yeah, you got me. Real.
He's going real.
What was it? Two who's the people?
2 award-winning academics.
Fuck. It's so likely that it could be real, but oh no, what if it's okay. I'm gonna go real, but I could also real. That must be so fucking annoying to listen to.
You're both locking in real, right?
That's the gamble that we have to take. Yes, I lock in. No, I lock in real.
That was The Big Bang Theory.
Fuck.
Two academics learning how to be people when an attractive girl moves in next door.
Yeah. I wouldn't call her a tsundere though.
Yeah, maybe not, but I was frantically trying to think of some sort of Japanese sounding word so that it would sound more Japanese.
Is she? Fuck, she might be.
Yeah, she's kind of a little bit aloof with them, isn't she?
It's not a tsundere is like, I don't like you, idiot, but I really do like you.
Well, she does end up dating one of them frequently.
That's not the same thing.
On again, off again, sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe. I give myself half a mark. Technically.
Alright. Number 2. A boy, abandoned by his parents, travels to the other side of the world alone in search of a suitable place to call home.
That is like...
Once again, I can give you the genres and the year, if you wish.
I don't think either of those are going to help.
What's the genre?
The genres are technically slice of life adventure.
He gets abandoned by his parents.
Abandoned by his parents, travels to the other side of the world to search for a place to call home.
I want to go fake.
You're going fake. Curtis, you're going...
I'll go real.
You're going real.
Give it a go.
This is my life.
Hey!
I dramatised it a little bit. I wasn't abandoned so much as my parents just emigrated to New Zealand, and then I finished college and followed them out several months later on my own. But I did travel halfway around the world to find a place to call home. So it was fake. Sorry, Curtis. You're on a 0 for 2. Let's see if we can get you that 1 point.
As long as I go 2 for 3, I think that's fine.
Last one for the week. Due to the closure of their middle school, forced students from the sea must attend middle school on the land, despite the growing tension between the land and sea people.
Gotta go real.
They have to go to school because that could be like
Can I ask one? And you don't have to answer this.
Sure.
Is the sea school? Is it underwater?
It is. Yes.
What? This will help me. Yeah.
2013.
Real.
You're both going real this time.
Yeah. I think I know what this is. I don't know the name of it, but I think I know what the show is.
It is real.
Yes.
It is a drama from 2013. It's got an 8.2 on my anime list. It's called A Lull in the Sea.
Yeah. That's the one.
I had a different one for that one until like starting the show, and then I quickly checked Joel's thing and it was on his completed, and I was like, shit, he's watched it.
What was that one?
It sounded. I checked it because when I read through the synopsis, I was like, this sounds familiar. It was. You might have even done it for recommendations or something. It was a group of friends kind of grow apart when one of them dies.
Oh, Anohana.
Yes, that was it. I was like...
It was... Bam. Yeah, no, I love that show.
Yeah.
Good thing that you didn't do that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when I was reading through it, I'm like, this sounds... I think... Pretty sure Joel's talked about this before.
Highly recommend that show. I get to keep my belt.
Yep.
66 out of 66% is...
Curtis has got bad. 1 this week. Well done.
I got a point.
You got a point.
I'm happy.
It's better than last week.
It was too weird. London Sea People. Who are like, fucking, this is it. This is going to be real. Well done, guys. If you got more than Sensei Joel at home, write in and let us know.
Or don't break my ego. Let's move into the wrap-up. I'm gonna do my part and break her ice cold heart. Gonna warm her up and gonna call her my love diamond. She's my boo, she's my waifu of the year. Yeah, that's the one I'm gonna tell you about. This wasn't very funny, but I guess that's fine. We'll listen to the blooper reel later in time. Yeah. Thank you for being my hype man, Curtis. Thank you for being my criticism, Robert. I'll take that note on board. So, Next week, we're going to be wrapping up Housekei no Kuini, Land of the Lustrous. I have only been saying the Japanese name because I fucking descended into absolute weebdom.
Yeah.
Although, that's one bit of news. The dub has just been announced, and they've done a cast reveal list. I don't like it, but it's very rare that I like a dub.
They're not all women.
No, they are.
Oh, yeah?
They are. It's just, I don't think that they fit.
Right.
Which is the case a lot of the time. And the voice acting industry in the West is particularly incestuous because of the lack of talent. It's just a lot of the same people. I'm being a tangent. We're going to wrap it up, and then the episode after that, we're going to be doing a wrap-up show. We're not going to be doing a what we watched this week, I don't think. So we're going to be doing what our favorite anime of the year was as a group, out of all the things that we've watched together. We'll probably do a couple, this was my favorite thing that I watched and talked about on the podcast, but wasn't for the podcast, and maybe some manga recommendations. We're also going to try and do our spouse of the year, spousu, because we're not judging whether it's a husbandu or a waifu. We're going to just pick the best person.
Yeah, best person to be with.
So that's 2 episodes from now.
Spoiler, it's not Goku.
It's not Goku. So might be a bad jumping on point, or maybe it's the best jumping on point.
What are these nerds doing this year? Oh, that sounds like I should have been listening. Maybe I'll tune in next year.
Speaking of, where can people tune in, Curtis?
You got Google. No, you got Gmail. You got Twitter. You got
YouTube.
That one.
Facebook.
Reddit. MySpace.
Probably still have a Tumblr page somewhere.
I've stopped posting to it, so... people are most active on YouTube. If you want to go there and jump into the comments section, I'm going to actually have it so that it pops up with title cards and stuff from now on, because I figured out how to do that. That's basic bitch stuff. Listen, I don't know what I'm doing, and we're figuring out as we go.
Or you can email us directly, kyfcayac@gmail.com. That's kifkayak@gmail.com. If you like what you heard today, tell a friend. It'd help us to get the word out.
Give a recommendation, a like, scribe. But until next week, when we do all of this again, I have been your anime expedition leader, Joel.
I have been your anime tourist, Robert.
I've been your anime guy with a pickaxe, Curtis.
She's got an ice cold heart and she makes me fart.
Such a strong start. Such a strong start. It makes me fart.
Hang on.
Joel's rapping is a work of art.
No, stop it. You're giving me too many helping hands. The whole thing is that it has to be from my heart.
Freestyle.